Apocalyptic prophecy now is a different case altogether. With an apocalyptic prophecy, once the prophecy goes forth, it must be fulfilled. There is nothing, absolutely nothing, that we as humans can do to change the outcome or course of these events. And we have a lot of apocalyptic prophecies in Revelation. So back to some of the current happenings that I just mentioned above. We need to determine if all these happenings are one, conditional prophecies, that is, these prophecies are something that we can do to change the course of them, or whether they are apocalyptic prophecies. That means we can't do anything to change the course of the events of these prophecies. Based on that, we need to determine if our actions can change or alter the outcome of these prophecies, or whether we need to alter our actions and way of life to deal with the inevitable. And does it mean that as God's people we should not pray about these things? Let us look at Matthew 24 verses 3 to 8 for some guidance. It's a very well-known text. It says, verse 4 of Matthew 24, "And Jesus went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him for to shew him the buildings of the temple. And Jesus said unto them, See ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? And Jesus answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines, and pestilence, and earthquake in diverse places. And the Bible goes on to say, all these are the beginning of sorrows. So, all of us are seeing all these things happening. Those of us who have never experienced an earthquake, we have been experiencing them. We had one earlier this year that brought on the panic of a tsunami. And the Bible does tell us that all these things are just the beginning of sorrows. More is to come. While Psalm 91 tells us that those who dwell in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty, the text goes further to tell us that he will deliver us from the snare of the fowler and from the noisome pestilence. Verse 7 says, 1,000 shall fall at our side and 10,000 at our right hand, but it shall not come near us. No plague will come near our dwelling. These are very comforting texts that we love to quote and Christians and believe in. But what if God does not choose to deliver us from any of these? What if he allows some of them to come upon us so that his name might be glorified? What if he allows us, like the 3 Hebrew boys, to go through some fiery trials to draw us closer to him? What if he allows us to be thrown into the lion's den and be delivered so that someone who does not believe in the power of God can believe? There is a song that says it's the trial that makes pure gold. The story of Job also teaches us that God does not always deliver us from the ills of this world, but sometimes allows circumstances to overtake us so his name can be glorified. Interestingly, earlier today, I was listening to an interview with a church brother overseas, Claude Edwards to be exact, and I'm borrowing some of his words because it fits so much with what I was preparing. He said, we should be careful about how we label our trials, as a lot of times we attribute them to the workings of the devil when they are not. Sometimes they are trials to make us into pure gold. Therefore, as we go through this week, I want to let us know that whether we believe it or not, the end of the world is upon us. This old world is like a moth-eaten garment. You know, you have your garment packed up somewhere and cockroaches get in and bite it up, and you take it up and it just falls apart. That is what the condition that the world is in at this time. Global warming, melting glaciers, rising sea levels, sun scorching men with intense heat, turmoil and unrest on the labor scene, incurable diseases like COVID, wickedness getting worse each day. What we need to do is to pray and ask God to help us to make our calling and election sure, as this is one apocalyptic prophecy that is going to be fulfilled, whether we like it or not. While we pray for relief from this particular disease and others, we need to see this as one of the prophecies as foretold in the Bible. Not specifically by name, but the Bible does tell us in Matthew 24 again that men's heart will be failing them for fear and for looking after the things that are going to come upon the earth. Because recently, I've been hearing of people who are diagnosed with COVID and other illnesses, and they have committed suicide. It is a fulfillment of Bible prophecy where men's heart are failing them. People are afraid to go out because they are afraid of getting this disease. But the Bible said the end is not yet. Jesus then goes on to tell his disciples some of the things that will happen to them. In verses 9 to 11, he says, Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and ye shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. And many false prophets shall arise, and shall deceive many. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. And the final thing that is going to happen as one of the marks of the end of the world, the gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come. And this gospel is referring to a specific gospel. It is a gospel that is calling men and women back to true worship. Because as the text told us earlier, a lot of false Christs and false prophets are out there. And we need to search the scriptures to ensure that we are worshiping God in spirit and in truth. We cannot worship God falsely and be expecting to get a blessing. And it is our responsibility to search the scriptures and to ensure that we are worshiping God the way we ought to, and that we're proclaiming this specific gospel that is calling people out of false worship. Now is the time to do it. We take this apocalyptic prophecy seriously, and that is why we are encouraging you all of us, including myself, to get your houses in order, get my house in order, because whether we are ready or not, Jesus is coming again. The signs are fast fulfilling, and while we pray for God to remove some of these circumstances, we will not be spared from everything. We have to go through some trials of our own. The songwriter says, must Jesus bear the cross alone and all the world go free? The answer comes back, no, there's a cross for everyone, and there's a cross for me. I want to encourage us, those of us who are on this Christian path, that we pray that God will give us the strength to go through whatever trials we may face. We want to encourage those who are listening, who are not yet a part of the fold. I say it every time, it is time to get ready, because whether we are ready or not, Jesus is going to come, and he is coming sooner than we think. I pray that all within the hearing of my voice will make our calling and election sure, so that on that day we will be able to run to Jesus and not to run away from him. These are my few words of encouragement to you this evening.
Amen.
Now the day is over, night is drawing nigh, shadows of the evening stars across the sky. Father, give the weary calm and sweet repose. With thy tenderest blessing, may our eyelids close. Through the long night watches, may thine angels spread their white wings about me, watching round my bed. Amen.
Good night, everyone. Do have a wonderful and a blessed